Hello and welcome to Pabbly. So in this video, we will be discussing how to create Google Calendar events in bulk from Google Sheet data. Now suppose guys you have the details of some upcoming events which you are planning into the Google Sheet, like the event name, description, start date time and date time, everything over there. And you want that with all of those details, you want to create the events in your Google Calendar account. So let me tell you, you can actually automate this process. So in this automation, first we are going to get the details of the event which we have added in our Google Sheet, and after that with the same details, we are going to create events in our Google Calendar account. Now if you want to know how you can automatically do this, for that you just have to come with me to my screen.
So as you can see, here we are on Pabbly Connect's dashboard. Now to reach this dashboard, you will get a free sign-up link of Pabbly Connect in the description box below. By clicking on that link, you can create your free Pabbly Connect account in just 2 minutes. And after reaching to this dashboard, just click on Create Workflow and give this workflow a name. For example, I would like to name my workflow as Google Sheets to Google Calendar. And then just click on Create. Now you can see that our workflow is open over here. And in this workflow, we have 2 different windows. First one is the trigger window and second one is the action window. So triggers and actions are basically those 2 concepts, those 2 principles on which this whole automation works on, where the trigger says when this happens and the action says do this. So let's begin with our trigger window. Now the idea here is what we have to do, we have the details of the events in our Google Sheet. So we have the details like event title, description, guest email, start date and time and end date and time of the events which we want to add in our Google Sheet. And we have these data in bulk, like we have the details of lots and lots of events. Now we want that all of these events whose details we have in our Google Sheet, with these same details, the event should be created in our Google Calendar account. And that too once in bulk. So what we are going to do, we are going to set up an automation with the help of Pabbly Connect, using which this automation workflow will run once according to our requirement, according to our selected date and time. Then automatically it will get the details of each and every event from our Google Sheet, and automatically with the same details, each and every event will be added in our Google Calendar account with the same date, time and all the other details. So let's see how we can automate, how we can create events in Google Calendar in bulk with the details from our Google Sheet. So here, because we just want to run this automation workflow once, we have to schedule this automation workflow. So here in this trigger window, we are going to select Schedule by Pabbly over here. After selecting Schedule by Pabbly, it is asking us how often you want to run your workflow. Now, because we just want to create these events once, that's why we are going to select once over here. And then it is asking us to select the date and time. So let me select the date and time as the date is 9th of June 2023 and time is, for example, 4 p.m. So I'll just select 4 p.m. as the time over here. And then just click on Save. Now when we click on Save, we will see this automation workflow is scheduled to execute at 4 p.m. on 9th of June 2023. At this date and time, this automation workflow will trigger, it will start. Now, after starting this automation, what we want to do, first we have to get the details of the event which we have added in our Google Sheet. For that, we will just come to our action window and here in Choose App, search for Google Sheets. Just select it. After selecting Google Sheets, in action event from this drop down, select the action event as Get Rows over here. Then just click on Connect and select Add New Connection. Now here guys, we have to connect our Google Sheets account with Pabbly Connect. And to make this connection, just click on this Sign in with Google button. Then after that, you just have to select the Google Sheets account, the account in which you have created the Google Sheet with all the event details. Then just scroll down and click on Continue. And as we click on Continue, we will see our Google Sheets account will get connected with Pabbly Connect over here. After making this connection, the first thing it asks us is to select the spreadsheet. And here in this dropdown, you will get a list of all the Google spreadsheets which we have created in our Google Sheets account. Here you can see a list of all the spreadsheets over here. Now here from this dropdown, we have to select the spreadsheet in which we have added the details of the event, the spreadsheet from which we want to get the new event details over here. So this is a spreadsheet named as Google Calendar Events. And in this spreadsheet, we have added the details of all the events which we want to create in Google Calendar. So here from this dropdown, we are going to select the spreadsheet over here. After selecting the spreadsheet, the next thing it asks us is the select sheet. Now in this Google spreadsheet, we have only one sheet right now that is named as sheet 1. That's why here in this drop down you can see only one sheet as sheet 1 over here. So we are going to select that. If you have created or added multiple sheets over here in your Google Sheet account in your Google spreadsheet, in this drop down you will get a list of all the sheets. And from this drop down you have to select the sheet in which you have the data of the events in your Google Sheet. After selecting the spreadsheet and sheet, the next thing it asks us is the range. That from this Google Sheet, the data of what range we want to get inside Pabbly Connect. Now to get the range guys, you just have to select this cell A2. Like in the first row, we have the details of the headers. Then here from A to cell A2, our data start, details of the event start. And you have to actually select all the details, all the data which you have over here. Just select all of them over here, the complete data of each and every event to the last cell where we have added. And after selecting this data, here in this range section, you can see your range. Just copy this range from here and then go to Pabbly Connect and paste this exact same range over here. So in this way, we have just selected the complete data of all the events which we have in our Google Sheet. And after selecting this complete data in the range section, we have received the range of data, the range from which we want to get the data of Google Sheet. So here after selecting or entering the range over here, you can see we have this option of simple response. Just turn off this simple response button and click on save and send test request. Now when we click on save and send test request, here you will see we will get some response, some details from Google Sheets. And yes, here we have received the response. And here in this response named as response result, you will see the data, the details of each and every event which we have entered in our Google Sheet. So here guys, you can see the details of the first event, the first row of event details from Google Sheet. The name of the event was demo event. As you can see, demo event was the first event. Then after that, here you can see the same description of the event which we have added. Then you can see the same demo, same user, same guest user which we have added, whose email address we have added in the sheet. Then you can see the same start date and start time and same end date and end time of the event as well. After this, here you can see the details of the second event, then the third event. And in this way, the details of all the events, the details of each and every row which we have selected in the range of the Google Sheet, the details of that each and every row will be received inside Pabbly Connect. Now here guys, you will notice we have basically received these details of the event from Google Sheet inside Pabbly Connect in this array format. We have received the collective data of each and every event, the collective data of all the events from Google Sheet inside Pabbly Connect, but we want to create these events one by one. And also guys, we have received this data, these event details into a pretty complex format, in array format. So what we are going to do in the next step, we are going to convert this data, convert these details of the event from array format to a simpler format. And also in the same step, we will be processing the details of each and every event, the data of each and every row one by one. So to do this, to convert this data of array format into a simpler format and to process all of this data one by one in the row-wise manner, we will be using a feature, a module of Pabbly Connect that is called iterator. So we will just scroll down, click on this add action step button, and then here in choose app, select iterator over here. After selecting iterator by Pabbly, here in choose array, by default, it has selected the response which we have received in array format. So here you can see that we have received this response of response result in array format. In this response, we have collectively received the array data of our Google Sheet rows, all the event details of Google Sheet. And then here you can see that by default, it has selected this response. Now just click on this save and send test request. Now after clicking on save and send test request, here you can see that we have received this response. And in this response, you can see the details of the first row of our Google Sheet data. So here in this array format data, we have received the response of each and every row. And from this array format of data, we have extracted the data of the first row and we have converted it into a simple response. And here you can see the details of the first row events. So here in this first row, we have these event details, and here in iterator responses, you can see the same details. The same event title, same description, same guest email, start date, start time, end date, and end time. And also you can see the row number. So the important note over here in iterator says the response include the first expanded dataset as value. So we have received the first expanded dataset over here. the first data set from this complete array response, which can be mapped in further steps. So we can use this data, we can map this data which we have received in iterator responses in the next step of Google Calendar. At the time of workflow execution, it will process all the values one by one. We support iteration of maximum 500 record at once. So guys, when this automation workflow will actually execute at our scheduled time, it will get the details of each and every event from our Google Sheet in our selected range. And then using this iterator, we are going to process the details of each row, each event one by one. So we are going to process this data of each event, and then using these details, we are going to create a new event in our Google Calendar account. So here we have successfully received this data in our simpler format using iterator. Now let's move to the final step. And in the final step, using these details, we want to create the event in Google Calendar. So we will just scroll down, click on this Add Action Step button over here, and then here in Choose Apps, search for Google Calendar. Just select it. After selecting Google Calendar, in Action Event from this drop-down, we are going to select the action event as Create an Event. Then just click on Connect and select Add New Connection over here. Now here guys, we have to connect our Google Calendar account with Pabbly Connect. And to make this connection, just click on this Sign in with Google button. Once again, we are going to select our Google Calendar account in which we want to create these new events. Then just scroll down and click on Continue. And as we click on Continue, we will see our Google Calendar account will get connected with Pabbly Connect. After making this connection, the first thing it asks us is the calendar. And here in this dropdown, you will see a list of all the calendars which we have created in our Google Calendar account. So here in my Google Calendar account, you can see all of these calendar. Out of all of them, I have this calendar named as latest calendar. And using this automation, I want to create all the events which we have in our Google Sheet. I want to create these events in this particular calendar named as latest calendar. So in our Pabbly Connect workflow, we are going to select that calendar over here. After selecting the calendar, the next thing it asks us is the title. That what will be the title of the new event that we are going to create. So here from iterator responses, we have received the details of the event from our Google Sheet into a simpler format. So from iterator responses, one by one, we are going to map these details of the event in the Google Calendar step. Like here we have the title of the event as well. So we have to map this response of event title in this field of title. And guys, the process of mapping is very simple. Simply click on this field, and here in the drop down, you can see a list of all the responses which we have received from previous step. And out of all of this, from iterator responses, we are going to select the response of event title and map it over here. And after this, the next thing it asks us is the description. That what is the description of the new event that we want to create. So we have also received the response of description in this iterator responses. So we are going to map this response of description over here. Just click on this field, and from the drop down from iterator responses, select this response of event description. Then after this, it is asking us for the event location, but we haven't entered the event location in our Google Sheet. If you want, you can add the location as well in the other column and get that response over here. And the field of location is not mandatory, it's not required. So we can ignore this field for now. Then it is asking us start date time, that what is the start date and time of the event which we want to create. And we have to enter the start date and time in this particular format over here, where we enter the year, month, day, then we enter T, and then we enter the time of the event over here and end it with Z over here. Now here guys, we have entered the start date, start time, end date, end time in our Google Sheet. And we have received these details, start date and time of the event from Google Sheet inside Pabbly Connect. So from iterator responses, first we are going to map the response of start date, then we add a T, and then we are going to map the response of start time over here. So let's map it. We will scroll down. Here in start date and time, just click here, and from iterator responses, here you can see that we have entered the start date into the same format of year, month, date. Then we are going to enter a T after that, and then we are going to map the start time over here. This is it. Let's map the start time and add Z, capital Z after that. In this way, we have mentioned the start date and time of the event which we have received from Google Sheet. Follow the same process of start date and time for end date and time as well. Just click here. From iterator responses, select the response of end date, then add a T, and after that map the time over here as well and end it with Z. So whatever start date and time we are going to enter in our Google Sheet, with the same start date time and date time, the events will be created in Google Calendar. Then it is asking us for the time zone, that what is the time zone of our Google Calendar account. So I'm in India, and in India we follow the Asia Kolkata time zone. That's why we have selected Asia Kolkata over here. Then it is asking us for the visibility, that what is the visibility of your event. So do you want to get a public event or a private event? So I want to keep the visibility as public, for example. So we are going to select public over here. Then it is asking us for the guest, that what is the email address of the guest will be with us for this event. So the field of guest is also not mandatory, not required. So if you want, you can keep this field blank, but because we have entered the guest email address in our Google Sheet, we will be just mapping this email address as well of the guest. At last, it is asking us for the event recurrence rule. Now here guys, in this event recurrence rule, we have to enter that how recurring this event is. Like if we are creating some kind of recurring event, we have to enter the recurring rules. Like this event is going to recur every day or every few hours or every week or every specific time interval. We have to enter that recurrent rule over here. Now because we are not creating any kind of recurring event, we are creating just one time event. That's why here in the help text, it is given a recurrence rule. You just have to copy this rule from here and paste it over here. If you want to get a recurrence rule of your choice, like if you want to create a weekly event, the event which will be there in your Google Calendar account every week, then by clicking on this hyperlink in the help text, you will reach to this page. And at this page, you can generate the recurring rule according to your choice. Then after mentioning the event recurrence rule, just click on Save and Send Test Request. Now when we click on Save and Send Test Request, here you can see that we have received some response. And this response seems to be a positive response to us. This response shows that the data, the details of the event which we have mapped over here, the details of the event which we have received from Google Sheet, with the same details, an event is created in our Google Calendar account. So let's check it. We have entered the start date and time of the event as 9th of June 2023 and the time was 10 a.m. And we will go to a Google Calendar account, and here you can see that for 9th of May at 10 a.m. the event is created from 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. The same start date and time and end date and time of the event which we have entered in our Google Sheet. Here you can see the same event. You can see the same event name, demo event. You can see the same guest and the same description as well. The same details of the event which we have entered in our Google Sheet, with the same details, the event is created in our Google Calendar account. This means guys, the automation workflow which we have created using Pabbly Connect, this automation is working perfectly fine. And now after setting up this automation, at the selected date and time, like whatever date and time we are going to select in the schedule, at this date and time, this automation workflow will run, it will execute, it will get the details of each and every event from our Google Sheet, and one by one, with all those details, all of these events will be created automatically in our Google Calendar account. So here guys, what you have to do, you just have to wait for the scheduled date and time over here. So not just these applications, you can connect plenty of other applications with Pabbly Connect. And one more important thing, you will get a clone link of the same automation workflow in the description box below. By clicking on that link, you can actually clone this same workflow into your own Pabbly Connect account and use this automation workflow for free. Also, let me tell you, Pabbly Connect offers you a free plan. And in this plan, you will get some free tasks every month into your own Pabbly Connect account. So if you want to try and test this automation, you can do it for absolutely free.
If you have any kind of doubts or queries, you can post them on forum.pabbly.com. So if this video was helpful to you, you can obviously like this video, comment down to your suggestions, and don't forget to share it with others. So guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you. Have a great day.